danger.
So here's what happened.
Dangerous. What does this sound like?
They're threatening.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, they're not. But again, this was after they were attacked. So here's what happened. So according to the KGB materials, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers in Siberia. It says, for unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. Whoops! Sorry about that, big guy.
Oh, Russians.
Yeah. Shoot first, ask questions later.
Typical.
So basically...
And now you die!
Kill it! So basically, the UFO falls to the ground, crashes, not far away from them. And then they say... 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerge from within the wreckage.
Oh, someone's about to die!
Oh, shit! Yeah, shit. Listen to this. So it's stated in the testimony by 2 soldiers who remained alive after this event.
Oh my god.
The creatures, after freeing themselves from the debris, came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply, then became a brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 of the Russian soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into... stone poles.
What
the fuck does that mean, right?
Like Medusa? They returned to stone?
Basically, yeah. They were just kind of vaporized and were just left with these, like, stone husks of what, you know... What they just, I think it actually, here, I'll go into this. It sort of describes what they believe sort of happened. They said only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade were less exposed to the luminous explosion, and they survived. So that was interesting too. They were able to kind of duck away from it. Or they weren't looking at it or something, like they were shielded, which I'll get into something that it reminded me of later. But they say the KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFOs and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution in Moscow. Specialists assume that the source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings today instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone.
Oh.
What?
So they were just like fried into this crispy husk of stone, which is fucking crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So a CIA representative stated that if the KGB file corresponds to reality, if this is correct, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that goes beyond all our assumptions. Which, again, this is a CIA guy saying in the CIA document that they already had assumptions of these beings. This wasn't fantasy. They knew these things exist. But they obviously have technology that goes, wildly past what they expected they had. He says then they can stand up for themselves if attacked, which really concern them. So anyway, I'll kind of leave it off with this, but it reminded me of, I don't know if you remember your Bible studies as kids, guys, or even if you know the story.
I tried to forget.
Yeah, me too. It reminded me of, remember that passage, I looked it up, it's in Genesis 19:26, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah.
Where the city is destroyed by a huge bright light of some kind. It's like God's wrath was just destroying the city because he's a loving God. But anyway, so he's destroyed these cities, and Lot, the character Lot, and his wife are running away, told not to look around. She looks back at the explosion, and she basically is transformed into a pillar of salt. And so it reminded me a lot of what was happening here, which was interesting. I don't know if it means anything, but I just thought I'd leave you with that little piece of interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah could be a nuclear weapon, but that's an interesting parallel. Either that is like a clever way of someone reinventing the Medusa story, or the Medusa story is based off some sort of event that happened. And there is a technology that can radically change your cellular structure into like a different compound. That's like super fascinating. Nice tie-in there.
Yeah.
I agree. And or that these alien beings, if they are greys, have been coming to the planet for a long time, and humans have tried to piss them off, and they've used this weapon many times. So in the story of Medusa, or Sodom and Gomorrah, and this example in Siberia.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting and scary.
Yeah, I just want to say though, like, come on. I mean, if you're going to launch a missile at a UFO, like, I mean, come on, that is so outrageous.
I know. Expect the worst.
Fire a missile. You know?
I mean, these beings have the ability to travel.
It's an amazing story, but I also. It should not be used as fodder for like UFOs are bad. Like I don't blame them. Fire back. If so,
play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
So
I'm on Team Alien for that one.
Please don't shoot rockets at aliens. However, then this does give validation why some military units are a little worried about the alien agenda. I mean, right? I mean, if you can't fight back, I mean, then what do you do? So I get it. I'm just saying both sides. Not that I agree that you should be violent towards aliens by any means, or that we need to fight aliens, but that is a concern. I'm just saying.
I mean, their job is to defend the country, and if there's I think half the reason why there is this secrecy around this is because there is nothing we can do to defend ourselves should that happen. You know, should the worst happen. There's literally nothing we can do. It's just, it's like an ant trying to fight a human. You know, we just get crushed. I can imagine why a government wouldn't want their people to have that information, but there's no reason why, by the sound of a lot of these stories, like Josh says, that we should be fearful of this other race anyway. It's just human nature. I think government nature to want to be able to kick someone's ass should the need arise, you know, which is fucked up, but whatever.
Yeah, but also, you're right, to protect the people from, I mean, again, we talk about this a lot, especially with disclosure. Like, it's just like people. Not all people are good. Not all aliens are going to be good. Mm-hmm. So there has to be, but I think that the more, this is just my opinion, I think the more that humans figure out how powerful they are within their own system, we're going to be less using weapons to blow up UFOs and be able to reach them at the power that they're at, whoever they are.
Maybe.
But we just haven't got that. We just haven't got that far in our evolution of understanding how the universe works. Yeah. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Josh, deep under on the surfaces of the water, there's something else lurking.
All right, so what are we going to learn, folks? Like, this is all fun and games. This is fun. Every day is like an advent calendar. A new door opens. We learn something new. It's like Christmas for me. This summer is going to be Christmas. But what are some of the things I think we're going to learn? I think we're going to learn some presents here.
180 days of Christmas, my true love gave to me 700 CIA documents. Okay, go ahead.
Well done.
That's it.
Well done.
Nice.
And
you fully committed. I liked it. Well, I think a couple things are going to be revealed to us. I think there are aliens from other planets. I think it's going to be revealed that they're here. And not only are they here, yes, they're interdimensional, they phase in and out, but they're underwater. My research has led me to believe over the years that USOs, not that you need another acronym in your life, underwater unidentified submerged objects, UFOs, UAPs, are a big deal and are seen all the time by the Navy. A lot of the major incidents, the Nimitz incidents, took place over the ocean, in and out of the ocean. We know a new photograph's about to come out that's supposed to be disclosed soon of a giant black triangle leaving the Eastern Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and a pilot taking a picture of it. I can't wait for that one. I'm super hot for that one. But what I came across, guys, was a really interesting story that leads into this. I found this Reddit post, which, immediately I want to just discredit a Reddit post, but the guy put his information on it, and they immediately kicked it out, and the story reappeared on, I think you call it Reddit? I don't know. It's like a site where you put posts that were taken off Reddit. And the only reason why I'm going to tell this story, it's sensational and amazing, is because something recently happened with the organization that was involved in this story. The organization is the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Now, here's the story. Okay. I want to read it from it because this is verbatim of the guy who posted this, whose name I don't know anymore, who originally posted his name, but it was taken down to protect his privacy. This story is also connected to a clip that's going around right now of a fisherman, underwater photographer for National Geographic, claiming he has pictures of underwater aliens. But that clip is actually from a mockumentary or like a fake documentary about mermaids. This story is somehow connected to it, but it's not part of that clip at all. I just want to separate those two for people.
Okay.
So this is what happened. This is what the guy starts right off the bat. He goes, this is his statement, his overall statement. Then we'll get to the story. He says, the Navy has worked in conjunction with the government to keep this quiet on all fronts. Other governments have similar systems in place to keep this information strictly in the realm of fiction, according to public perception. I'm compelled to break my silence and disseminate this information. My colleagues in the organization I've called home for the past 12 years, the NOAA, is responsible for keeping one of the greatest genealogical discoveries of all time quiet. The sector I work in is being restructured and downsized, so I'm going to lose my job in May. This post should expedite that process. The big takeaway before I go into the story is they can't talk about these underwater things because it would screw up basically the socioeconomic systems of the world, and also just oil and gas and operations in the ocean, and they can't disrupt that because it's just too much money. So this is the story. It starts like this way. In 2012, the location doesn't give, a bunch of whales appeared on a beach. And these whales all had these like cylindrical holes in their body. They went deep into their flesh. It looked like it was burned. Like something got in there and like burned like their flesh right out of it. And they thought these things they thought like they beached and then someone did it to them, but come to find out they washed up on shore that way. And it was really weird. And they're like, well, what is this about? So this is what he said. We were all baffled as we'd never seen anything like this on marine life. Then we got a call informing us that a small team would be conducting a hydrographic survey of the area using the echo sounder of a local vessel. We typically use a technique called multi-beam sonar to scan map the seafloor in astounding detail. So the data we collect is processed by various parties and is usually uploaded to online databases. Long story short, we found irrefutable evidence of an advanced humanoid species living under our oceans. Using the multi-beam sonar, we found their dwelling areas and also what appeared to be underwater vehicles of some kind. The creatures themselves were tracked by the Navy over the course of 2 weeks using a submersible equipped with special deep-sea observation equipment. The creatures displayed speeds of 70 knots, faster than the sailfish, which is widely considered to be the fastest creature in the ocean. And this is just without any vehicles, they're just themselves. They were also recorded emitting sounds that resembled marine communications, and instruments also captured the emissions of a precision sonar blast that damaged the hull of the submersible, according to the Navy report. So obviously they got too close, and these things were like, bye-bye. Yeah. This reminds me of that story we told a few months ago of the Russian divers, Russia, in that lake where they encountered these things underwater. And of course, the Russians went after one of them. Let's try to put one in the net, you know, and they all got killed. Same thing. Don't fuck with the aliens, man. They will defend themselves, and they have a right to. I feel like I'm pro-alien, because I am. So you
have been since we started this podcast, but okay, go on.
It's true. So this footage of this creature is accordingly, supposedly this footage of these creatures. The Navy did not share the video with the guy who's writing this, but an officer, this person who posted it, spoke with, gave the following description. This is verbatim from, not the guy who wrote the article, but an officer he interviewed. I wanted to give this guy a Russian accent for some reason, but I'm not. They didn't look real. They looked like computer animation or something. They have a glow around their body, and they move really fast, like even small movements like turning their head or moving an arm was like watching a high frame rate video. They look nothing like any fictional depiction out there. They do not have a fishtail. They are completely humanoid, but extremely tall, thin. Their bodies were covered in a material resembling element mercury that looked like it was moving. They were very interested in the submersible and seemed to know they were being observed, as a few times they would swim off and come back with more creatures. We know that from the story in Russia, too. They did the same thing. We observed at max 5 of them at once, varying sizes, but otherwise identical in appearance. Their eyes were completely white. There were no visible hair, nor any feature that implied male or female, which we hear a lot with the greys. No visible ears, and the mouths were wide and lipless. That's a little different than the greys. This seems like a different species. We flashed sequences of lights at them, sounds, and even extended a robotic arm on the submersible to try to get some of the physical sample DNA from the specimens, or the water nearest to them. I'm like, that sounds like a fucking bad idea. Like, we didn't know how they were...
Send a syringe out, yeah.
Right. I was like, what are you doing? We don't know how they were swimming, as they weren't wading, they weren't moving their bodies the way a fish would, or even a human would need to be underwater. They were capable of just moving rapidly in any direction suddenly without the need to change positions or swim, quote. In fact, during a majority of the observations, they were just floating motionless without losing or gaining buoyancy.
Like Aquaman.
Okay. Yeah, they're a bunch of Aquamans with big, creepy smiles. So